AchieveRadio.com. A new drummer for a new awakening.
Evening and welcome to Masterful Choices, where choice really matters. I'm Monique Chapman, your host. I converse with established and upcoming conscious leaders in the fields of human potential, intuition, spirituality, and metaphysics, providing empowering information for you to live a 5-star balanced life. When you were born, you came to Earth with everything you needed to make life a success. Together, let's discover your pathway to even greater success. To find out more about me, upcoming show guests, the classes, consultations, energy work, and holistic healings that I provide, visit my website, MoniqueChapman.com. Now, I've been told by my clients that I keep it real while providing accurate information and profound deep healings as they face the lessons they agreed to learn in this particular lifetime. Remember to like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter. My opt-in newsletter, Healing News, is available through my website, MoniqueChapman.com, or you can join from my Facebook page. Tonight we've got a wonderful show for you. In the first hour we have Ernesto Ortiz with us, and in the second hour we have Pia Orlean and Colin Smith. And they're going to be talking about the Palladians. In the first hour we're going to be talking about Akashic Records and everything spiritual. So if you'd like to participate in tonight's show, give me a call at 602-666-6027. Again, that number is 602-666-6027. Once you're in the system, press star 5. That's like raising your hand in the classroom, and I know that we are connected. You can also send me an inquiry from the Achieve Radio homepage, or you can send me some information via the chat room. So many ways to connect. And if we're taking all calls this hour and next hour, so if you're inspired to give us a call and chat with the guest, give us a call. Now, my noted guest this hour, noted author, artist, and healer, Ernesto Ortiz, has devoted his life to exploring and communicating the language of the heart, primordial movement, and deep inner spaces. For over 25 years, Ernesto has taken thousands of people on a journey from physical and emotional inertia to the freedom of ecstasy, from the chaos of the chattering ego mind to the blessed emptiness of stillness and inner silence. Ernesto is recognized in the holistic health and metaphysical field as an artist, writer, poet, inspiring facilitator, teacher, and therapist. And you can find out more about him by visiting his website, and that is journeytotheheart.com. Journey, numeric 2, so the number 2, theheart.com. Welcome, Ernesto.
Monique, thank you so much. It's a pleasure being with you tonight.
It is so great. Now I'm going to give the audience a little background about us. Folks, he was scheduled, I think, first in January, even December of last year. And every time it was time for him to be on the show, I would get sick, and I had to cancel him 3 times. And you know what? Ernesto has been most gracious about it, and I do appreciate that. And, folks, let me tell you, this is a busy man. He's in different countries all the time. It's a wonder he knows where he's going, but he always responds in a timely manner. This is truly a person who walks his talk. And you guys know I've talked and interviewed them from, you know, the big ones that have been on Oprah's show down to somebody just starting out. This man walks his talk. So, Ernesto, thank you for doing that.
You're very kind. Thank you so much for your words. You know, and this show had to happen just at the right time.
Yeah.
I try a lot. You cancel a few times, but, this is the moment right here, right now.
Yes,
So
and
here we are.
let's make the most of it. I love the book, The Akashic Records, Sacred Exploration of Your Soul's Journey Within the Wisdom of the Collective Consciousness. You do so much, and we're going to talk about a lot that you do. Why a book on the Akashic Records?
Um, well, the reason why is, I guess, is the most important class that I teach is the material that has truly changed my life completely from the chaos of the chattering mind, like you said, to the complete emptiness and silence that is so required, within to be able to manifest everything that we want in life. So my life has completely changed as a result of being connected to the Akashic Records. And I have also seen how this material, this technique, this system, call it whatever you like, affects and impacts in a positive way the life of many, many others, regardless of age, sex, or culture. Because, like you said, I travel a great deal, and I present this material to many different cultures around the world, and I love to see the transformation that they take place when they embrace and they get into the Akashic material.
Now, for point of clarification, what exactly are the Akashic Records?
Well, the Akashic Records is a field of infinite potential. They go as far as your imagination goes. The Akashic Records, to put it more in a linear way, are your book of life. So they are the progression of your soul's evolution. That's everyone's soul's evolution from the moment of its inception to the present moment. So they contain past, present, and the possibility of unfoldment of future events. That is the Akashic Records at a personal level, is our book of life. But they're collective records, they're family records, karmic imprints and records that are kept like that. They are cultural records, they are world records, they are universal records. So the Akashic Records is an energy that is everywhere, from the time that surrounds or wraps from the tiniest of atoms to the largest of planets and systems in the universe. Is the glue that holds everything together in the space of love. And if we can plug into this frequency, this vibrational frequency that exists everywhere, that means that we have the ability to access information that is there waiting for us, and we can use it, of course, for our highest good and the highest good of others.
Okay. Now, in order to open the Akashic Records, as you just stated, there is a prayer. Now, is this prayer important every time that you open them, or is it something that you just say once and then voila, you gained access?
Nothing is like that. Absolutely nothing is like in the spiritual world. Nothing is voila, and then you have it for the rest of your life. So you have to. This prayer, what it does is fine tunes our energy, our frequency, to the energy of the frequency of the Akashic Records. There are wavelengths, there are frequencies available to all of us, and we are only vibrating at the frequency that we are capable of vibrating, but there are frequencies that are much higher than ours, that only if we are fine-tuned to those finer or higher frequencies, we can access the information that is there. So the Akashic Records, the Akashic Record prayer, is their words encoded in light language, in sacred geometry, in the language of spirit. And when we bring ourselves to center, to alignment, when we do a simple recipe to be able to get into that alignment, to open our Akashic Records, is what we are doing is we're fine-tuning our frequencies, our energies, so we can plug or connect into this field, this vast field of energy where we can take and receive information and healing. So it is required at all times. Now, that is not to say that there are not other ways of connecting to the Akashic Records, because there are. shamans, mystics, seers, from meditators from hundreds of years ago to the present, know that when we fine-tune ourselves through that particular method, we can enter dimensional realities that are extraordinary. So, but those don't happen all the time. They happen when we just sit there for a long time, or we do the medicine plant, or do whatever it is to get into that frequency. And the Akashic Record prayer gives us access to that frequency in a very simple way. So we can access the Akashic Records 3-4 times a day, because it only takes a few minutes to be able to enter into that space.
Okay, so if we can access this energy, frequently throughout the day, and it only takes a short while to get there, why aren't more people aware of this and utilizing this beautiful tool that's been provided to us?
Well, the magic, the beauty is that it is beginning to happen. When I started teaching this material was about 17 years ago. When I got into this material was about 21 years ago. Well, back then, very, very few people knew what the Akashic Records were. Even 10 or 10 years ago, if you did a Google search, you found very little on the Akashic Records. Hardly any books were written. I was one of the only few individuals teaching this material around the world. But look at what is happening right now, the explosion of consciousness, the explosion of individuals that are willing to look deep within themselves, that are unhappy with living life in the mundane way, in a way of consumerism and materialism, and they're finding that there is far more to discover about the self. And so the Akashic Records are now beginning to explode. Now, are they going to be a household word like Reiki, for example, or meditation or yoga? Probably not, because once you get into the Akashic Record material, you have to be willing to explore deep within yourself to really bring out from within yourself the richness, the beauty, the magnificence of who you are. And many times to get to that, we have to clear and clean a lot of debris, a lot of karmic debris. So many times when people start looking at this, they get freaked out. They just don't want to do it. So they rather just stay cushy in a comfortable life, pseudo-spiritual, without having to go through the process of deep, deep, deep inner transformation.
Well, that's an interesting point that you bring up, because I believe, and I think you believe too, that as we come into human embodiment, part of the lesson is to learn and to grow, especially on a soul level. And if we decide at some point, the human decides they don't want to learn, how does that affect our soul and our soul's growth?
Well, every one of us has lived hundreds of lifetimes, unless you are a brand new soul. But I know that I have lived hundreds of lifetimes. I have seen them. So each lifetime, if we don't awake in this lifetime, the Spirit grants us the biggest gift, which is the gift of free will, and with that, the gift of reincarnation, so we can take embodiment again, so we can go once again to the process of hopefully getting to the point of achieving enough consciousness to awake. And once we awaken, then we have the opportunity to start getting what I call pops of enlightenment. And pops of enlightenment will start giving us, little by little, the ability to be completely and totally mindful, completely and totally in the space of awareness of everything that there is around us. It's a state of being in awe, in nirvana. And it is achievable, is doable. The Buddha has, said, Jesus Christ has said it the same way, that we can all achieve that state. But we just have to work at it.
Yeah, work's the operative word, and it's amazing how many people don't want to, quote-unquote, work at it, because it seems like it's very difficult.
Correct.
Within the Akashic Records, there are teachers and masters and the loved ones. Who are these energies that we're calling on?
Yeah, these are the masters and teachers are beings. They're beings of light. They are individuals that have balanced completely their karma. We know them as the lords of karma, members of the Great White Brotherhood, etc. And they have balanced 100% of the karma, and they're able to rise and to be in that space of the Akashic Records, which is the highest of spiritual planes. Now, there are also souls that have never taken embodiment, so they carry the most pure energy, and they sit also in the Akashic realm. So these are the masters that we call. So when we read the prayer, it calls for the masters and teachers. These are the masters. Imagine that the Akashic records are what I call a the Library of Congress of the soul. So when
Mm-hmm.
you say the prayer, you enter an elevator, and when you finish with the prayer and the formula, you walk into the Hall of Records, into this library. So you can go to the front desk of this library where the masters are and ask for general information, and they will give you general information. But if you want a specific information, if you want information about your past lives, about healing addictions, codependencies, if you want to be inspired to play better music, to be a greater healer, to be a better wife, a mother, a father, whatever it may be. But you know, if there's a specific interest, architecture or whatever, then those masters will bring out other masters that become your teachers. So these are beings that have the knowledge, the know-how about the specifics that you are looking for, and they become your teachers. Now, the loved ones, that's a beautiful dispensation that is written the Akashic Record prayer, because the loved ones are individuals that have been in your life, father,
Mm-hmm.
mother, brother, friends, acquaintances that have passed on. And they have passed on, and they still have issues, unresolved issues with you, or you with them. So they are basically trapped in the astral plane. And when the vibration is of equal affinity, the masters are going to bring this loved one out of the astral plane, or whatever they may be, to have communication with you, resolution, and with that peace, not only for yourself but for them, so they can move into the light.
Okay. So when the this energy has the communication with you, say it's a thing of forgiveness with
Yep.
someone who's been in your life before, and you have at whatever point chosen not to forgive them, is that an opportunity to extend the olive branch and forgive, or can you still hold on to, if you want to, your stuck energy of not forgiving?
Well, the greatest gift that we have is the gift of free will, right? And many people
Hmm.
are so attached to that anger, or to that greed, or to that whatever it may be, that forgiveness is not gonna happen instantly. But they recognize that forgiveness is tinting their life, that the lack of forgiveness, I'm sorry, is tinting their life, that the lack of forgiveness is holding them back, not only themselves, but another soul. And when they understand that, many times we have contractual agreements between us and that soul that we have so much trouble with in this lifetime. And when we get to the understanding that many times these souls have sacrificed a portion of their lives, could be your mother or somebody else, to give
Hmm.
you the lessons that you need to have in this lifetime, how can you possibly not get to the point of forgiveness? Because an action like that is only created out of the most deep love in the spiritual realm. So there's a
Hmm.
lot that we have to learn, but many times we don't think about like this. In my case, my mother had a very troubled relationship with me, not me with her. And
Hmm.
so when she passed away, I worked, in this way with forgiveness. And what the masters took me through is a process of questioning as to what is it that I learned from the relationship that I have with my mother. So I answered all the questions, and then they said to me, how do you feel as a man when you learn something about yourself that is going to make you a better individual, a better man? And for me, instantly, it was gratitude. So the next question was, so in this space, what is the twin energy to gratitude? And immediately was love. So they asked me, in the space of gratitude and love, what do you have to forgive?
Mm.
And my life changed.
Wow.
I have nothing, absolutely nothing to forgive. And if anything comes up in my life that has the ingredients that could take me to lack of forgiveness, I just simply sit with my Akashic records open, have a dialogue, and then come to the point of understanding that there is a karmic relationship here that is bringing me tremendous amount of knowledge for my own inner wisdom. And with that, I can move to a space of gratitude and love.
Okay. And gratitude and love is truly an energy that is needed right here on Earth today. Folks, we're
Yes.
speaking with Ernesto Ortiz. He's the author of the Akashic Records, Sacred Exploration of Your Soul's Journey Within the Wisdom of the Collective Consciousness. You can find out more about him by going to his website, and that is Journey to, I don't have it in front of me, hold on, Journey
It's the
to the
same. Journey
Heart.
to the heart. Yeah, it doesn't have to be numerical. It can be just
Oh, it
journey
doesn't
to.
have to be? Okay, because when I was looking at your site and it had the number
Okay.
2, so I just wanted to make sure that they
Okay.
could find you. So journeytotheheart.com, and there we're going to talk about his website and some stuff on it, but there you can get a lot of free stuff, and it's good stuff, too. It might be free, but it's absolutely positively good. Now, Ernesto, how has opening the Akashic Records for yourself enhanced your life besides working with your mom?
Mm. Oh, so that was just one out of hundreds of thousands of things that I have worked with Akashic Records. The most significant for me is, number one, I truly owe my life to the wisdom of the masters, the lords of Akasha, and the direction that I received, the healing, the inspiration that I received in my life. The most significant was, in 1992, I believe it was, Hurricane Andrew came to Miami, Florida, which is where I live, and it destroyed my home. It destroyed 2 of my businesses. A couple of months before that, my mother had died. I was burglarized. They took about $60,000 in jewelry and cash out of my home. So
Oh,
I
wow.
found myself, I found myself for the first time in my entire life with absolutely nothing. And I was born in a well-to-do family. I always had money, from my family and my own as well with my businesses. And I found myself for the first time in my entire life living in my car with absolutely nothing, no money, $10 in my pocket, wondering if I was going to buy a hamburger or $5 worth of gasoline. And the Akashic Records, the questioning, enter into a dialogue with the masters to have direction and understanding as to how to rebuild, recreate my life, has proven to be just that by trusting in the guidance that I received, my life has completely transformed to be able to be in the space that I am right now, living the life of my dreams. And that dog confirmed it.
The dog definitely confirmed it, and he was nice and quiet and actually looking at me at the microphone, and then he had to bark. So at least you're a truth teller, that's for sure, definitely a truth teller. How does the Akashic Records assist us with karma? Or
Oh,
does
this is a beautiful, beautiful, juicy, yummy question. I love it. It can assist us in erasing our karma, basically, because the Akashic Records are a dense field of energy that contains the imprints of every thought, every word, every emotion that you have had, that we have had, that everyone that has ever been alive has had. So they're past and present. So if we can enter this dense field of consciousness, so to speak, then we can travel back in time. So the action, that cannot be changed. If you hurt someone, that action cannot be changed. But the energetic imprint, that can be changed. Or if you had issues of abandonment, or if you were abused mentally, physically, raped, or anything like that in this life or a previous life, we can travel in time back to the moment of the inception of that energy and change it. Now, the moment of inception of the energy is what creates the karmic imprint. So we can actually go back to the moment of the seed origin and change it completely with the consciousness and the awareness that we have now as we are today, traveling back in time to the moment in which that took place. And with that, once we change the energetic imprint, then the karma is neutralized and gone.
Okay. Now, I get exactly what you said, but it kind of ties in, for me anyway, to past lives, especially when you said that we could go back, in time. So when we go back in time, are we going back to a particular life itself and healing that energy, or do we just blanketly go back and heal a certain type of energy over time?
Well, let's keep in mind that this lifetime is the sum total of all of our life experiences. So,
Mhm.
in reality, in truth, the one that is the most important is this one right now. And most people have so much material to deal with from this life that why bother to go to a previous life? uh, Codependencies, addictions, pain, sufferings, father, mother, grandparents, issues. I mean,
Mhm.
everybody's loaded. And if you have not been doing your spiritual work for a very long time, you still carry that karmic condition from this lifetime. However, if there are very specific karmic imprints that you're bringing from a previous life, such as lack of abundance. A lot of people, have issues with money, lack of abundance. And it could be that in their previous life, maybe they were a monk or a nun, and during that lifetime, they did not need any money at all. So
Mhm.
they made a vow of poverty. And that vow creates a very strong condition of the mind. And what we transfer from one lifetime to the next is the condition or the essence of our mind. So if we died in our previous life feeling miserable because we didn't have any money, that condition is going to come to be awakened, karmically speaking, in this lifetime. Now, once we have a system or a method to go to recognize that and go back into that lifetime and change that imprint, heal it if you wish, then our financial life will improve in this one.
Interesting. So, folks that were born during the Great Depression in 31, I think it was, and they're in their 90s or not here anymore, they are probably carrying still with them the energy of that depression, the Great Depression, and will bring it in the next time they come back around?
Oh yes, no question about it, and also the children of people like that. If
Mhm.
you grew up in a family where you heard your father telling your mother how desperate he was because he has no money, he lost his job, there's 3 or 4 children in the house, there's no money to pay the rent or to buy food, money's hard to be made, etc., etc. That conversation, that imprint went from your parents to you, and now you can be 30, not 30, but you can be 50, 60 years old and still dealing with that energy that you adopted, a belief system that you
Mhm.
adopted because of the difficulties that your family had during the Great Depression.
Okay, so once you acknowledge that's what the energy is, learning the Akashic records and opening and exploring your records can help you heal that?
Yes, yes, absolutely, because that's what I'm talking about, that we can explore from the now that the moment of the inception of that fear or that imprint in you given to you by your parents, by you listening to your parents
Mhm.
about money, about fear of being evicted, about not having enough food, etc., etc. Or maybe you witnessed your father getting so pissed off about it or so depressed that he beat up your mother. So there's a
Mhm.
secondary issue right there that you are dealing with. You cannot trust men, or you cannot keep a committed relationship because of something like this. So we can go back, basically, moment of the inception of can heal it. And once it's healed, then the veil is lifted. The karma is gone.
Mhm. I love it when that veil is lifted and the karma is gone. Now, in your book, you talk about grace points. What do you mean by that? What are the grace points?
Having a little sip of tea.
Oh,
Uh,
fine.
uh, Grace points are physical points of action that manifest in our hands depending on the issue that we are dealing with. These are like, they come to do a couple of things. Is one, to anchor information that you are receiving from the Akashic Records, or to let go of material that no longer serves you.
Mhm.
If you're exploring an issue that has feminine components, these grace points are going to show up on your left hand. Masculine issues are going to show up on your right hand. And how you know if the energy is awoken in that grace point is if you palpate it or touch it, squeeze it, massage it, it's going to be tender to the touch. So
Hmm.
as you explore the question or the issue with your Akashic records open, grace points are indicators of something that you need to follow. For example, there is a body release point on the hands. Years ago, I had a pain on my upper back for no apparent reason. I squeezed the grace points, were very tender, left side very tender, meaning feminine, right side tender, but not as tender, so I'm masculine as well. To make a long story short, I was dating a woman at that time that things were not that great, in many different ways, sexually and emotionally. But she is a beautiful woman. So I did not understand the reason why. Now, the grace point was an indicator for me to follow a thread that took me to the recognition that this woman in my life at that time was my wife in a previous life, and she plotted out with another man in this lifetime, back then as well, to kill me so they could be together.
Oh, now, wow.
Yeah, it is beautiful, because by following that thread and getting to that point, I neutralized the karma between these two individuals in this lifetime, and now they're married and happily ever after, I hope, and I liberated myself from a karmic condition. So by following the thread of an awoken or a trigger grace point, I was able to get to the seed cause of that energy. So with that, I neutralized the karma, and I spoke with them about it, and they recognized the fact that, yeah, there's a very strong physical attraction, mental, emotional, from a previous life. And then I explained what I had just received from the records. They knew about the Akashic records. They accepted the information received. And then I was able to finish that relationship, that karmic relationship, with peace and harmony and love. So the Akashic records are just beautiful. The Akashic records, or grace points, are beautiful indicators as to how to follow energy to be able to liberate something that doesn't serve you, or to anchor information that you are receiving.
Okay. Well, I am so grateful that you're here and explaining this to us. Now, with the Akashic records, you teach it. I know that you've taught other people how to teach it. How does one go about learning how to access the Akashic records, especially if they can't follow you to Guatemala next month?
Well, that class is full, so they can come to Bali in September. It's going to be magical. But I think that, I did not hold anything on my book or the DVDs that I have. There are 3 levels. In September, I'll be presenting for the first time ever the 4th level of the Akashic Records. So I'm very excited about that. It's only been 17 years, right? So people can really just follow the recipe in the book. The key is to trust of higher energy, to trust higher powers, to trust that this material is coming to you at this time. And if you approach it with an open heart, an open mind, the mind of a beginner, which is open and receptive, and not the mind of an expert that is already saturated.
Right.
And the only thing that is going to happen, if you follow the formula that is on the book, if you come to one of my classes, even better, because now we are immersed in this material 24 hours a day, and then you will be able to see incredible life changes. I've seen it for myself. I've seen it for other people, and this is the right time for the Akashic Records, for this material to come and enter our lives. And the beauty of the records, I would like to say, is that they're not here to replace anything at all that you already do, any mastery that you have achieved over any healing system or anything that you do at all in life. They are coming to enhance, to bring to the next level of your own personal potential that particular thing that you already do. So they're not a religion, they're just a philosophy, they're just a system that is really coming to enhance everything that we do in our lives.
Okay. Well, folks, the book, The Akashic Records by Ernesto Ortiz, you can get it on Amazon. You can go to his website, walk into your local bookstore and ask for it, because this is a book. It's a keeper on my shelf. It provides you a lot of information. And, sometimes I just open the book to a particular page, and any page, and just start reading, because there's always something there to learn. And I think I'm on my 3rd time through it. But a great book, and I appreciate it. Now, you've got this wonderful website, journeytotheheart.com. And on this website, you give a lot of information away. And first of all, I'm going to start with the free stuff tab, because within the free stuff, you offer a lot of meditations for people that people can, and I just lost the website, wonderful, that people can tap into.
Yeah.
You have the love and gratitude. You talk about the chakras. Uh, Tell us why you give away so much wonderful information and absolutely positively free.
Oh, why not? I mean, abundance is everywhere. Everybody should be able to receive. Why should I charge for something that I can just give for free? I believe in
Hmm.
the law of cause and effect. As I give, I receive, and I live my life abundantly without holding anything back. I live my life out of the sense and the spirit of love and kindness. So I put it out there for people to benefit. If one individual listens to one of the meditations or to something that they take from my website, and that changes their life a little bit. They are able to go into a space of gratitude, and then they turn around and they go to work and they ask for forgiveness for their coworker or their mother or father or spouse, or they just a window of greater amount of inner joy is open. Then they are not only benefiting because they went to my website, but there are other people benefiting as well. And I am here in this world to make a difference in the life of others and not to charge for everything that I do.
Yeah. Well, you have to make a living for yourself, but again, you're sharing information, and it's absolutely wonderful. Now, on your website, you talk a bit about sacred geometry. Talk to us about that. Why is it considered a pathway to greater understanding?
Well, sacred geometry is a vast field, and we are surrounded by it. Sacred geometry, in the way that I talk about it, I teach it, is the use of the Platonic solids and other shapes put together in geometric grids. So we are using sacred geometric patterns with colors that when they are combined, they create a specific unified vibratory field that can be used for just about anything you want in life. This grids are like downloading or bringing down sacred geometrics from the universe, because everything is a fractal, everything is in perfect geometry, working, in the universe. So when we're plugging in with sacred geometrics, then the energy flows more specifically. So
Hmm.
sacred geometry is also part of light languages, which is the language of spirit. So in sacred geometrics, this has nothing to do with mathematics or anything like that, but in sacred geometrics, in the exploration of shapes and colors, we can discover a great deal about ourselves because we function, within the parameters of sacred geometry ourselves.
Hmm. Now,
We
is
just don't recognize.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying we just don't see it or recognize it, but it's present within our field all day long.
Okay. Now, with sacred geometry, would it be wonderful to connect to sacred geometry by the use of mandalas and coloring in mandalas or creating mandalas?
Hmm.
Okay. Because
Yes, yes. You're asking me if that is a way of doing it?
mm-hmm.
Yeah, oh yes, absolutely. Mandalas are absolutely wonderful, especially, and more than mandalas, because mandalas can be very general, but more like yatras that are very specific geometric patterns within a mandala. Those are considered to be doors that can expand the mind, or doors that can be opened within our mind by observing the sacred geometrics within the yatra to be able to access different dimensions within our mind and consciousness.
Okay. Now, we're doing all these accessing of, information that's outside of our body, which most information is. How do we keep from, in a sense, losing our mind? How do we keep from being so immersed in this wonderful energy that we've accessed that we don't forget that we're an earth being and we need to come back to earth?
Yes, a good question. The question is balance. Really, the question is not only balance, but the ability to stay rooted and grounded. In
Hmm.
all of my classes, I talk about the chakras, I touched that point. And many people that, like the ones that you're talking about, they're always operating from the heart on up. It's always la la land, is more the light, is all the spirit, and they're always like, way up there flying on in the ethers. But what is important is to have the lower chakras equally balanced. So the lower chakras connect us more to the world, to Pachamama, to this earth plane, and by having those well developed or as equally developed as the upper chakras and united in the heart, which is the master, the only chakra that works by itself, then we can walk this world in balance with the wisdom of the masters, the spirit world, but well grounded in manifesting in the spirit, in the physical plane. In my book, I talk about 3 aspects of the Akashic records. I call them the view, meditation, and action. The view is when you enter the Akashic records and you're able to sit in the director's chair and see slices or your whole life as a theatrical play in front of you. As the director of that play and as one of the actors, you hold the script so you can make changes. As a child, maybe you couldn't because you're under the rule of your parents. But now, once you are liberated, once you are free and you're on your own as a young adult or as an adult, you hold the script so you are living the life that you are writing on your own script. So the view gives you the ability to look at that life, and then you can take that to meditation, which is the laboratory of the self. And there are many styles of meditation. In Guatemala, in the 10 or 12 days that we're going to be there, I will be going over probably 6, 7, or 8 different styles of meditation, because not one style of meditation suits everybody. So what we do is we take the material that we receive from the view into meditation, into that laboratory of the self. We process that information there, and then we take it to the 3rd step, which is action. And action is the manifestation of whatever you receive from the view and meditation in the physical plane, is where we give it life. If you do the view and meditation and you don't take it to the third place, to action, you're wasting your time. You're living in a different world of non-manifesting. And what this is about is manifesting consciously in your life everything that you want to have.
Okay. Folks, get on the bandwagon here. You can do it. Now, we have an in quick here from Katie in New York. And Katie says, I had a question about my job. The people are out of control. If it's not nailed down, it's gone. Do you see any big changes coming, or is it time to leave? Also, do you see any money coming my way? So, Ernesto, I'll give her like the psychic reading on that, but what type of energy, because you're so good at looking at the energy of things, what type of energy do you pick up around her job? She didn't say where she worked, but that if it's not nailed down, it's gone. That's like, whoa.
Well, what I would say to that is 2 things. Number 1, I am not a psychic, so I really don't pick up stuff like that. I'm very intuitive. But what I would like to say is that everyone has a choice at any one point in their lives. And if your job is not giving you the satisfaction, the money that you want to have in life, it is time to stop and reconsider. Many times people are working, operating out of fear and out of their heads. They celebrate too much and they don't celebrate being alive. So what I would say is drop your attention to your heart and truly ask yourself the question, is this job, is this condition that is around me giving me the means to be happy and to love? And if the answer is no, then take whatever steps are necessary to make a change in your life. The moment you do that, then money is going to come, joy is going to come, love is going to come, and a life of fulfillment will appear in the life of not just her, but anyone that is in a similar condition.
Exactly, exactly. And Katie, you said if it's not nailed down, it's gone. Well, if people are stealing, and you're not a thief, perhaps you need to look at that and say, okay, it's time to move on and make tracks to work elsewhere. Okay, a lot of things happen in our lives because it's time to make a change, and we get stuck in that velvet rut, and we just, even though it's not that wonderfully comfortable, it's still a velvet rut, and we stay there. So it's time for you to come. Do you want more money? Well, can you have more money? Yeah, but you have to see it. It's not about me seeing that money coming your way. It's about you seeing that money coming your way. Okay, so it's going to be important for you to shift your mindset. I would truly take a small bit of money and get his book, The Akashic Records, and go through it and do the exercises. 17 bucks, you're going to get a whole wealth of knowledge that will change your life to the positive. And thank you very much, Katie, for writing in. Let me know how things work out. Ernesto, you utilize the malas. Could you tell the audience what a mala is and maybe some different types that are available?
Yes, definitely. A mala is a Buddhist rosary, and many people are familiar with rosaries because of Christianity, etc. But it is a string of beads, 108 beads, and they're used to chant or to pray mantras. So a mala is an instrument of prayer, and one that holds the energy of the mantras that we chant with the mala. So they also become, when you wear it, not as a necklace or as a piece of jewelry, but you wear it as an amulet, then the mantras that you recite with the mala is going to radiate the energy of the mantra that you are reciting. So malas are just instruments of prayer, but what is really important is more the mantras than the malas, because the mantras are words. Many people have probably heard of Om Mani Padme Hum. It's a Tibetan mantra, the mantra of compassion. Very simple and beautiful mantra. And if we repeat it enough, if we do hundreds of thousands of them, our vibration will start shifting, changing so much. Our light body will start being illumined, sparkled in so many different ways because of the vibrational frequency of the words. Once again, these are sacred words that are encoded in light language, and they also have the imprint of the master, in this case, of Om Mani Padme Hum, Avalokiteshvara, which was also Shen Racing, one of the embodiments of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Now, a simple mantra like that can really have profound impacts in people's lives. Mantras are also used to do meditation. Many people that have a chattering monkey mind and they cannot quiet it, when they start doing mantras, and if you use a mala, then you are also keeping your hands occupied because now you're holding and touching the beads as you're moving from one bead to the next. But by chanting the mantra and repeating it again and again, you can say it's almost like self-hypnosis. It could be, but what happens is that there are drastic changes that take place in the way that we are able to perceive or see the world once we have done months and weeks of mantras. Even within 10 days of a workshop with me, we start every single day with meditation and mantras. And people that have never done mantras or done meditation before, that they say they cannot do it, at the end of my class, a month, 2 months, 6 months, a year later, they tell me how beautiful their spiritual practice is, because now their meditation can be so much deeper because they also use a mantra or mantras that I give during my classes. So the mala is just the instrument to count the mantras.
Okay, so does it matter what material the mala is constructed from?
Well, the truth is, no, it really doesn't. As long as you have one with 108 beads, you're good to go, really. But if you want to be more specific, yes, gemstones and woods carry a very particular vibrational frequency. And on my website, I have, 5 or 6 styles of malas for sale. I have the Bodhi seed mala, for example, and these are seeds from the Bodhi seed, which is the tree where the Buddha achieved his enlightenment. So that for many people gives them a very deep and intimate connection with the Buddha. But you can also use a rose quartz mala if you want to increase your love. You can use a yellow or citrine mala or amber mala if you want to increase your abundance, money and that kind of thing. You can use a green mala for healing, a blue mala for healing as well, but all depends as to what you want. So the truth is, they really doesn't matter what kind of mala you have, as long as you use it with a mantra that is going to awaken the sparkle that is in your heart.
Okay, I love that, the sparkle that is within your heart, and boy, do our hearts sparkle. Well, we've got a couple of minutes left. What words of wisdom would you like to leave with our audience today?
Well, I would like to say that we are truly living extraordinary times. I mean, if there is a time to be excited being alive, the time is now. Just look at what is happening in the world, but at the same time, look at what is happening in the world with clear eyes and not just rose-colored glasses. And we have the battle of good and evil. We see terrorism, and we see, the school system just failing, and there's so many things. But at the same time, we see the awakening potential. What I truly believe is that if people are beginning to awake, if people are willing to let go of their doubts and their fears, if they start learning the language of love, if we can all come together with peace and kindness and tolerance, we can change the world. I truly believe that. I believe that we are the ones that we have been waiting for, and we are here. And I just pray and hope that everyone is willing to do that, to look deep within themselves, let go of what no longer serves them, and get to the point of truly being in a space of love. And that is not love for someone, but in the space of being in love with life itself.
Very well said. One last question before you go. I have worked with 3 people this week who called me initially wanting to leave Earth, just wanting to take themselves out. When you find someone in that state, how can you assist them, or how could we, as just a layperson, not an intuitive or anything, how can you assist someone like that who's just given up because life they perceive has been so hard on them?
Yeah. Well, I would, in the way that I look at life, I would try to make them understand that what they are doing is burning tremendous amount of karma, that they are paying a karmic due from the past. And if they have gotten to that particular point of desperation, that they are also at the moment of initiating or starting a new life. It is the moment of opportunity. And when they recognize, individuals like that, when they recognize that they have suffered a great deal, but they have come to the end of suffering, and the great bell has been rung, and this is the point of opportunity. If they are with me, it is for a reason, and I don't babysit people too much. I'm not going to lick their wounds. I'm going to get in their face and say, okay, it is time now to embrace the beauty, the magnificence that is within you. It is time for you to really embrace love, kindness, and compassion for yourself, so you can have a different life experience, because your time is now, and that is the reason why you are in front or with me right now.
Okay, very well said. Ernesto, thank you so much. It has truly been worth the wait. Our time has been now, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you did too.
I did, very much so. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and thank you so much for everyone that is on the radio listening to this. Many blessings. Thank you.
Many blessings. Bye-bye. But folks, stay with me. We've got Pia Orlean and Colin Smith coming right up, and they're going to talk about the Pleiadians. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes as we continue to make masterful choices.
I was leaving an exercise class.
All of a sudden, the pain started.
My entire chest. Shortness of breath. Very fatigued.
Nauseated. Thought that it was nothing much, maybe just stress.
You're having a heart attack.
I'm healthy, I'm young. There's no way it could be my heart. No way.
Heart disease doesn't discriminate.
Listen to your body. Go get checked.
Heart disease is the #1 killer in women.
And this is something that we can fight.
Visit GoRedForWomen.org to learn a woman's risk for heart disease.
Do you ever feel stuck, like you can't move forward? Or does it feel like your circumstances are so different that no one can understand or help you? Do you need guidance to achieve your financial, romantic, career, or health aspirations? Call me. I can help. I am Monique Chapman, and for over 30 years, I have assisted thousands of clients in gaining clarity and achieving their goals. Are you overwhelmed and looking for relief? Do you yearn to gain or reestablish your deep spiritual connection? Call me at 888-240-6057 and set the appointment that will change the course of your life to the positive. With so much going on today, everyone needs a resource they can count on to guide them through tough times. I am your resource. Call me now at 888-240-6057 and let's get started. Why suffer in silence when you can have the relief you are desperately seeking? Love yourself enough to make an investment in yourself and call me today at 888-240-6057.
Listening to AchieveRadio.com. A new drummer for a new awakening.
Number 2 of Masterful Choices, where choice really matters. I'm Monique Chapman, your host. I converse with established and upcoming conscious leaders in the fields of human potential, intuition, spirituality, and metaphysics, providing empowering information for you to live a 5-star balanced life. When you were born, you came to Earth with everything you needed to make life a success. Together, let's discover your pathway to greater success. To find out more about me, upcoming show guests, the classes, consultations, energy work, and holistic healings that I provide, visit my website, MoniqueChapman.com. Now, I've been told by my clients that I keep it real while providing accurate information and profound deep healings as they face the lessons they agreed to learn in this particular lifetime. Remember to like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter. My opt-in newsletter, Healing News, is available through my website, and that's MoniqueChapman.com, or you can join from my Facebook page. This hour, we're going to be speaking with Dr. Pia Orlean and Colin Smith, and they communicate with the Pleiadians, Lakshma in particular, and I'm quite sure they'll correct me on how to say that. So if you want to talk to them this hour or have us answer a question for you, give us a call at 602-666-6027. Again, that number is 602-666-6027. Once you're in the system, press star 5. That way I know you're connected. You can kind of like raise your hand, and I can call on you. Or you can send a message via the chat room or from the Achieve Radio InQuick. So you've got a lot of ways to connect with us, so don't be shy. Pick up the phone or utilize your fingers and connect with us. Our guests this hour, Dr. Pia Orlean and Colin Smith, have accessed parallel dimensions since childhood. They are interstellar communicators who were contacted by a group of beings from the Pleiades who call themselves Lakmar. Lockmar wishes to assist humans in fully manifesting who we were intended to be, divine beings of light and love. And if you want to check them out while you are listening to us, go to their website, and I'm going to spell this out, www, of course, and it's LAARKMAA.com. Again, that's LAARKMAA.com. Welcome, guys.
Hello. We're delighted to be with you, Monique.
Hi, Monique. We're really happy to be on your show.
Hi. It's great to have you. So is it okay if I just address you as Pia and Cullen? Will that do it for you? Does it for me? Okay. You know, I looked down at your book, Remembering Who We Are, and it says that Lockmar or Lockma? How do you say that?
It's Larkma. Larkma.
Larkmar, like the lark, and then Ma. Lockmar's guidance on healing the human condition. And then you have another book. Their first book was Conversations with Lockmar, a Pleiadian view of the new reality. So first of all, congratulations on writing the book. I am looking down at the book. I look up and I see this absolutely positively gorgeous sunset, blue sky, orange and pink clouds, absolutely gorgeous. I wish you guys were here with me. But since you're not, we'll get on with the interview. Why, you know, a lot of people utilize Pleiadians in their work. Barbara Hand-Cloud did. I think the most famous that I know of is Barbara Masiniak. Why is your method of interstellar guidance and communication different from other methods?
Well, it's different in a specific way. Pia and I have to be touching. We have to be connected in order for the information to come through us. That is distinctly different than most people who work with interstellar beings.
And the reason for this is because they want to be sure that there is no individual filterization with the messages that they give. So therefore, if we have to receive the information together, touching and receiving it simultaneously, we can't filter it through either of our individual personalities because we're both receiving exactly the same thing.
Okay, so what happens if one of you should go on a trip and the other one isn't present, or anything else should, you know, come into your lives where you're not together? Do you break communication with Lockmar?
Well, first of all, that never happens.
We are an absolute team. We spend all of our time together, so we're always available to carry on this work.
I have to say, Monique, Cullen is the only person in the universe that I could spend all of my waking and sleeping hours with.
Well, you know, I've got to share something with you. I had called earlier to leave you a message to make sure we're still on track for tonight, and I listened to your message on the phone, and I think I left a message I don't remember. But when I was talking to Bill right before you came on, I said they're completely in sync. I said one starts a sentence and the other one finishes it. And you truly do that, and I mean that with the highest respect.
Thank you.
Now,
we do speak often together or for each other.
Well, you're in sync, and the energy is in sync, and that's absolutely positively wonderful. Now, how long ago did you folks come into contact with the Pleiadians, and where was it?
It was almost a decade ago.
And it was in the high Colorado mountains.
And why the Colorado mountains as opposed to downtown New York City, if you'd been there? I mean, did you have to be in the mountains for that to take place?
I think the most important thing that had to happen to take place was we had to join our lives together and begin being together all the time in order for them to come to us and invite us to be part of their team. So I think it's more about our personal joining our lives together than about specific location. We just happened to be living there at the time they came to us.
Okay, so this is going to beg another question about your names. And folks, their names are all over their books, and you get their books on Amazon, their website, any place that books are available. Your name is P.S. Smith-Orlean, and his name is Cullen Smith? Bird Smith.
Yes.
Were you each Smiths before you met each other, or did you integrate that together too?
We integrated that together. I did something very non-traditional. I did not want to give up my name. I don't like the patriarchal pattern of having to give over one's name in order to be a joined unit. So to honor Cullen, I took Smith as my middle name and kept my own individual last name.
Oh, okay. Well, that
so
makes sense to me now.
Across-the-board name change.
Uh-huh. Well, congratulations on that. I'm glad that you decided to honor yourself, because as women in America anyway, we're taught to, you can't wait to be Mrs. So-and-so, and you're always taking on his name and his family energy, and it's as if you've given up on who you are in your family's energy. So
Well said, Monique. That's exactly how I feel we should start making changes in the world, to each of us honor our own energy.
Mm-hmm. And what feels comfortable to us, and you two have definitely accomplished that by writing the two books and being together. Now, in the first book, Conversations with Lark Ma, you had talked about a lot of things, water, number one, and belief and healing. And I'd like to start with belief, actually, because your ideas around beliefs, or what you were shared with from the Pleiadians, are a little bit different about beliefs. So tell me, or tell the audience, what you consider a belief, or is there a such thing as belief?
Well, it's all words, obviously, and we have to figure out exactly what the words mean. But the concept that Larkma has shared with us is that beliefs are based on things that we've learned from our own experience, or things that we have been taught. And the difference between beliefs and trust is that trust comes from a place within your heart where you just know something is. So it's a different energy to trust than to believe.
Mm-hmm. Belief is more of an intellectual exercise than what Pia was suggesting about the heart. We use our minds because we're taught that we need to figure everything out. We need to be logical. We need to be concise, and probably traditional also is a really big part of that.
We're taught to honor our minds as the highest aspect of who we are. The intellect is the all. And what we're trying to bring forth is for people to begin to remember that the heart has the greatest wisdom, and it's through the heart where we actually connect with one another, and where we can really solve great difficulties by listening to the wisdom that we already know, if we just begin to remember it by listening to our hearts rather than thinking so much.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that as a society we've overthought ourselves and overthought ourselves into trouble, and perhaps Larkma's wisdom can come and help us to reverse that situation. You also talk about the importance of water, with our body being 70% water. Why is water so important? Clean, pure water. Why is that so important to us, outside of the obvious health reasons?
Well, we are water, as you just indicated, 70 to 90% water, depending on our age. Babies and young children have a higher percentage than we do as we grow older. So the first thing is that we're living on a water planet, and our physical bodies are made up of water. So it's important to keep that water clear and pure, because that's who we are and where we live. But it goes beyond that.
Water is the mechanism by which we communicate. As far back as 100 years ago, we were taught that psychic abilities, telepathic abilities, actually came from the air, or they were transmitted through the air. And what Larkma is helping us understand is that transmission of understanding between each other more directly than speech or written words is actually a connection between our water, each person's water to water.
If you look at the molecular composition of air, it's actually made with water in it. So it's in the water in the air that the communications carry forth, not in the element of air. But the importance of keeping our water clear and clean, we know that we want to keep the water that we drink or the water on the planet clear and clean. It's real obvious not to dump toxic things or garbage in the water. But what Larkma is trying to help us understand is that we also need to keep the water of ourselves pure and clear. And that means having a real conscious idea of what we're going to intake, what we eat, what we drink, the thoughts we think, the visual images that we see, the movies, the news, whatever we do, all of that information is going into our water. And we can create a very dirty, polluted water by poor choices, or we can create a very vibrant, living water by healthy choices.
Okay, and I want to step back into what you said about the polluted waters, because I don't know, yesterday or the day before, one of them saw a commercial on TV, and it was basically about a cigarette butt that got tossed, and then it went to the sewer system, then to the ocean, and how it's polluting everything. So how do we truly get to the point, and that was just one cigarette butt, so how do we get to the point of clear, clean water that we ingest that will help purify the rest of us?
That's a really, really good statement or question. And what Larkma would say about this is that each and every one of us, each individual, has to make choices. And those choices can be throwing that cigarette butt into the water and having it travel to the ocean, or having the responsible choice of getting rid of it in another way that doesn't harm anyone, humans, animals, or the water of the planet. So I think the understanding of personal responsibility about every action that we take will help us stop polluting the earth.
Okay. And how do we get people to awaken to that? I mean, it seems so simplistic on one level, and in a sense it should be, but it seems like people in mass aren't in that vibration. How do we get them there or guide them there?
I think the best way that we can do that is by taking responsible actions ourselves and becoming examples for others to watch and see. And they might say, oh, look, she didn't put her cigarette there. Maybe I can follow that example too. The more of us who start responding through conscious choice in every action that we make, then there creates a wave of energy where others start thinking, oh, I better think about what I do too. It comes through hundredth monkey, to use the scientific term, where one person starts and then another, and then all of a sudden everybody else is picking up on it because it's the right thing to do.
We would call that teaching by example. Instead of telling someone or asking someone to do something, it's far more successful by allowing people to watch other people's behavior and picking those responsible choices up by watching behaviors.
One of the things that Larkma tells us all the time is that the only person we can ever change is ourselves. So each one of us has to take personal responsibility for making conscious choices ourselves. We can't change anybody else. We can talk to them, but if they're not ready to change, they're not going to make the choice. If we make those choices to change ourselves, then that can set the example for others to know they have another choice.
So basically shine our light brightly, and those who are attracted will follow, and those who aren't, they'll do their thing.
Yeah,
exactly,
that is really well said.
Okay, well, thank you. I want to talk about another aspect that you guys wrote about in your book, and that's healing. And you basically, if I'm understanding this correctly, said that all imbalances are a form of, illness, and that all imbalances come from stress. Did I understand that correctly, first of all? And if so, how and why?
Yes, stress seems to be the largest element in us becoming unbalanced.
Larkma says that they don't speak of disease or illness. They speak of dis-ease. And they say whenever we come out of our place of natural flow and harmony with the planet, we become dis-eased because we're not in our natural flow. And that's where the imbalance occurs. And most of those imbalances in causing us to come out of natural harmony come simply from too fast a pace of life, making poor choices, creating stress for ourselves, or not responding correctly to stress that's presented to us that we don't create.
There's so much stimuli in the modern world that we live in. There is stimuli coming in from all quarters, visual, auditory, physical. We're bombarded with information in so many ways. The news media, the internet, all all forms of information are constantly coming to us, and the more we listen, the more we participate, the more sped up we become. And so one of the things that LARCMA talks about a lot in public presentations is the fact that we have lost our connection with nature.
Okay.
The other thing that they talk about a lot is that we simply don't realize the power of our own choices. Many times we react to whatever's happening around us because we think it's happening to us, or we're not in control, or we can't take charge, and we don't realize that we always have a choice of how we're going to respond. We can respond through automatic reaction of anger or fear or being overwhelmed or frustration, or we can respond by taking a deep breath and saying, how do I need to think about this in a more positive way so that I can make choices to begin to make a difference in the situation?
Okay. So if our mind is so cluttered, which I agree with you, that our mind is cluttered because, we have information bombardment from every place. And if it's really cluttered and it's a toxic clutter, how do we get to the point where we can really look at the information that we're bringing in and know that it's clean and clear and to our betterment instead of something else that's going to, pull us further down the rabbit hole?
Well, the first thing we have to do is slow down.
That's what I was going to say to you. we have to slow our pace. We've agreed to live on Earth now by choice, and at the same time, we have to make other choices about priorities. How much time are we going to devote to work? How much time are we going to devote to leisure? How much time are we going to spend meditating or being quiet? How much time are we going to spend in nature herself and regenerating our natural rhythms? We have gotten so out of touch with nature through what we've been describing together here tonight that we don't really see ourselves as part of nature. We look at nature as something in virtual reality on a television screen or a computer screen. We don't really spend very much time directly in nature with our feet on the ground and having a direct experience with water in a river, the wind in the trees, any manner of spending time in a natural experience.
And that takes us back to where we started this conversation about the wisdom of the heart versus the intellect. We have become addicted to information. Therefore, if we go to look something up on the Internet, it's quite easy to, as soon as we find the answer to what we were looking for, have something else capture our attention, and then we want to learn about that too. And then we click on the next thing and we want to learn about that. And before you know it, we have this huge stream of information coming in when we only went to seek one answer. So one thing that we suggest to find a new balance about that is limit the amount of time that you watch television and that you're on the Internet, and try to balance it with going outside, putting your feet on the ground, taking some deep breaths, and just moving into a slower rhythm so that your heart and your intuition can have an equal voice with what your mind is telling you.
Nature never intended us as the human species to move as fast as we're moving. We have great difficulty, whether we realize it or not consciously, of keeping up with the speed at which we live.
Yeah, we do. And I think that's why so many people are sick, as you said, and stressed out, because you feel like you're barely keeping your nose above water, and if you slow down for a second, you're going to drown. So thank you very much for sharing that. Now I want to switch gears for a second. In your book, you talk about the rainbow body. What is the rainbow body, and how do we achieve that?
The rainbow body is a compilation or a combination of our physical form and our etheric form, or what many people call the light body. There are many people who have understood the concept that when you die, you still maintain a body that's called the light body. But the rainbow body that LARCMA is teaching us about is something only available to the highest level of vibration and conscious choice, but that means it's available to all of us, because all of us can make the highest choices to bring us to the highest vibration. What happens is we merge the etheric or light body with the physical body to form the rainbow body, and this gives us a lighter, higher vibratory human form.
And this is quite different from the age-old concept that we must die through our bodies when we have finished our assignment here on Earth and we move on into the universe. The traditional form is to actually die and lose our bodies and we still become involved in something other than the third dimension through that experience. But that experience is possibly an outmoded or outdated concept because we don't have to die with the body. We can take the physical body with the etheric, as Pia explained, and actually have a much greater experience with both of those elements combined.
The energies have not been present to support that for humanity ever on this planet. So this is a very new concept.
So how is this different from ascension? What you're talking about, how's that different from ascension?
This is exactly ascension, but we would say that Larkma tells us there's two forms of ascension. The traditional form of ascension that most humans agree to is ascension through death, where they give up the physical body and they go into the etheric form, and then they return on the wheel of karma to incarnate physically again. With the new energies that are present now, we are able to actually ascend, and the form of ascension is through what is being created with these conscious choices called the rainbow body. So the rainbow body is the medium for ascension.
Okay, so once we develop this rainbow body, we could utilize it if that's part of our path or we're looking for that to ascend instead of just, dropping the body and moving on.
Yeah. Well, actually, the rainbow body gives you access to being able to move back and forth into the third dimension or other dimensions by choice, moment by moment. It doesn't have to be a final choice of, okay, now I'm doing this, whereas death is a final choice. Once you do that, you're back on the wheel of karma again, and you ascend in the old form.
Okay. Now, do you think that Alzheimer's, that even younger people these days are, they're buying into that dis-ease? Do you think that's a form of ascension in the sense that the spirit, if you will, leaves the body, the person leaves the body's still here, but they're off someplace else until the physical body's ready to die because they don't know of another way to leave except for the physical body dying?
Wow, Monique, that is a really interesting question and something that we have actually been discussing a lot between the two of us because we've been noticing for the last 3 or 4 years that there have been memory issues with even young people. In some of our gatherings, we've had people that are in college in their 20s saying, I can't remember my assignments. I read something and then I forget what I've read. Something's happening in my mind. So I think we need to clarify, first of all, before we can even begin to consider that question, is memory loss necessarily Alzheimer's or dementia? Or is it a new form of being human and beginning to listen to incoming wisdom another way rather than using our minds?
We suspect that the mind, with the energies that are available here in the third dimension on Earth at this time, are changing. And it seems to us, through Larkma's wisdom and help, that many of us are losing what we used to call our normal mentality, our cognitive understanding, our way of trying to figure things out as we have for eons as humans. And I think what Pia means is that it's possible that many of us are believing that we might have a pathological situation happening with early onset Alzheimer's or early onset dementia, when actually what's happening is our minds are just changing and our hearts are taking over much of that function that probably belonged to the heart in the first place and allowing us not to have to remember all those things that we thought we must retain or that we must gain in order to be intellectual.
Now, back to your question about is Alzheimer's a path towards ascension. I'm a psychologist, and I've worked with memory problems with clients for a really long time in all different manners of types and forms. I don't have any clinical answers that I can say this is the science behind this, but what I can tell you is that I think that people who have Alzheimer's are teaching us something, because many of the people that I know who have had Alzheimer's, they're letting go of who they are, and they're still expressing themselves in another way. They're still living, they're still expressing their energy. There's certain things that still have their signature about who they are, but the memory's not there. So I think they're teaching us, much in the same way that other special clientele, other populations teach us things by saying, oh, they're doing it differently. We don't have to pathologize it. There is such a disease as Alzheimer's. Yes, we know there's a clinical disease, but there's more to it than that if you look at it from the energetic perspective of how we all have something to learn from each other, no matter what dis-ease we may be experiencing.
Okay. That makes perfect sense to me. Now, important question here. Is it possible for us to speak to Lakma?
Yes.
Yes.
It takes us a few moments.
I'm sorry, say that again?
It takes us a few moments to bring the energy in, but we'll be happy to do that for you.
Would you like to do that now?
Sure, you go do that now and give me a signal, like a cough or something when you're done, so that I know that you're ready, okay?
I think what will happen, excuse me, I think what will happen is that they'll just speak to you themselves. We'll just give you a moment and then they will speak to you.
Okay. Okay, well, folks, we are speaking with Pia Smith-Orlean, Dr. Pia Smith-Orlean, and Cullen Baird-Smith, and they are the authors of Remembering Who We Are and Conversations with Lakma. You can find the book on their books on Amazon, on their website, and their website is lakma.com. That's LAARKMAA.com. LAARKMAA.com. And we are asking for Lakma to join us and perhaps answer some questions for us.
Hello, dear ones. We are Lakma, and we are here to help you on your evolutionary journey because we love you. What questions may we assist you with?
Well, first of all, blessings and thank you for honoring us with your presence tonight. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Here on Earth, we're going through such an interesting times with, religious wars and color wars and all types of dissension. What can we do as a whole on this Earth to help ourselves be better?
The greatest thing you can do is to take responsibility for every choice that you make individually, for you are indeed part of the whole. Each one of you is important to each other one of you. We like to use a word that means I am another yourself. It is called in Lakesh. If you look at any other human being and you think about in Lakesh, I am another yourself, you begin to focus on your similarities rather than focusing upon your differences. In this dualistic world, Earth, where everything is polarized as you look at what is going on around you, you have opposites as part of your most focused attention. It has served you well to have opposites so that you could understand differences and extremes. But it is now more purposeful for you to focus on similarities, how you are alike, rather than focusing on how you are different. Rather than thinking, this person doesn't do this like I do, there must be something wrong with them, begin to think, this person doesn't do things like I do. I wonder what I could learn about doing things differently. In other words, begin to see each difference as another aspect of how you could do things. Everything can be done differently. Instead of seeing things as right and wrong, begin to see two different aspects of right. So there is no wrong. Everyone has the opportunity to be right. If you combine this philosophy with a dedication to make conscious choices through another principle that we share, which is called ahimsa, that means do no harm. If you combine the idea of this philosophy with doing no harm to any other person or thing on the earth. You begin to have a different approach to how you live your lives. Then you begin to think of everything you do with its repercussions. How is this going to affect others if I do it? How is this going to affect someone else if I say it? How is it going to affect me? And when you take all this into consideration, you begin to understand that everything you do affects everyone else, and everything others do affects you. That's the spirit of Lakesh. I am another yourself. And making conscious choices is the spirit of Ahimsa. Do no harm. Does this help answer your question?
It answered the question. May I ask another, please?
Yes.
You talk about the concept of an androgyny. Why should we be interested in this concept?
Because, again, you are focused in this earth plane on duality, opposite polarities, and focusing on opposites makes you think that one is right and one is wrong, and that you can only bring them together at certain harmonious points. It's not true. Actually, you contain the whole of everything within you. Therefore, as a woman, you also carry male energy. And if you focus on the fact that you can be balanced in your masculine and your feminine and still be a woman, then there is nothing taken away, but much is gained. The same for a man. If he focuses on the fact that there is the divine feminine within his masculine energy, then he becomes more balanced as well, and he contains the whole within himself. This causes you to do away with concepts like my spouse or my partner is my other half. Instead, you become whole units who have more to share with one another. Instead of looking for one to complete the other, you are complete within yourself, and this helps you to have more to offer, more to exchange, more to love, more to connect with. Does this make sense to you?
It makes sense. My follow-on question to that, though, and this was my concern with Pia and Cullen, is that when should they not ascend together and one leaves Earth before the other one, what happens to the remaining person?
Any couple has the opportunity to maintain their contact if they make conscious choices. Any couple, not just Pia and Cullen, but any couple making conscious choices may maintain their contact, whether they remain in physical form or whether they ascend in a different form. It's a matter of being able to connect through the veils, being able to communicate. However, it's more important that you focus on the wholeness of who you are and not worry about what is going to happen to those you love. For when you worry, you are giving them negative energy. If you trust that you will be joined together in the spirit of love and you make conscious choices in everything you do, there is no reason to fear separation.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. And the last question that I have for you, and again, I appreciate you coming in and speaking with us, is it seems to be your teaching, from what I understand anyway, that we should release structures like family and religion. Why is that?
We do not suggest that you release structures such as family and religion completely. We suggest that you do not allow them to control you or to keep you trapped in old traditional patterns, that you recognize that you are free to make choices from higher and higher of consciousness as you evolve into understanding who you truly are. For example, in the spirit of Lakesh, I am another yourself. Everyone on the planet is part of your family. You love them all, and you have conflicts and challenges within them all, just like you do within your own family. But when you see them as family, you treat them more as, oh, I don't need to go to war over this conflict. I just need to sit and talk to you about how I feel. The same with religion. When you trust that any path will take you to the source, to the divine spark that you are looking for, you no longer have to follow specific rules of one religion or another, for all paths that are based on love lead to the same place. And you don't need to judge one as being better than another. You need to respect that each person can follow their own path and still reach God.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time. I truly appreciate it this evening. I know the audience did too.
Thank you, dear one. We are pleased to be with you, and we will return, Cullen and Pia, to your radio show. We love you.
Love you too. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Really appreciate that. So, guys, first of all, thank you for bringing Lakma in. It was very interesting in speaking with Lakma. Now, is Lakma just one person, or is it a group of entities that come together and speaks through one voice?
That is one of the most interesting things that we encountered when they introduced themselves to us. Once we began to communicate easily after they introduced themselves, they said, "We are one of six and six of one." And Pia and I looked at each other in puzzlement and wondered, what the heck does that mean? And what they replied was really interesting. They are a group of six individuals working in unity together, and yet they retain their own individual interests and identities so that they can be involved in things that each one of them is involved with singularly and personally, but all of it works towards the goal of community or unity. And their whole society is like that. They are individuals, but they have evolved to the place where the importance of the entire community, their entire society, takes
precedence over any individual choices. They are focused so much on the idea of ahimsa, do no harm, that they are incapable of making any choices that would harm each other. So there's never any conflict. So they're like a well-organized team or a loving family.
Okay. Okay. Now, in your book, Remembering Who We Are, you've got a wonderful chapter on life purpose, and that seems to be a question a lot of people ask. What's their life purpose? How do you assist people with that?
The first thing that we do is we say congratulations on having the question, because once you have the question, then you're already waking up to a higher state of consciousness because you want to make a difference. You want to make your life count for something. So the very question itself is to be congratulated. But how we answer it, Lakma answers it individually for people. When they do personal sessions for people, they will help guide them. And they will give them guidelines about what they're here to do or how they're interacting with other energies here being on the planet. But the ultimate answer for all of us is that we are here to be love. Simply that.
And what they will answer personally or in groups is that it doesn't matter what we do. It doesn't matter what profession we decide to partake in or how we
choose to use our time to work in the service. What matters is how we do it, not what we do. So when people are seeking their life purpose, the main thing that Lakma wants them to understand is choose something that brings you joy. For if it brings you joy in doing it, it's going to benefit others. That's how you approach your life purpose and what you're doing in the world.
So it's the how of what each of us does rather than what we do. If we bring love and light and joy through what we do, that is how we do it rather than how we've been trained to do whatever it is.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And in your book, you talk about you talk a lot about healing in both books, but in your latest release, you talk about the 7 components of healing. Could you kind of run through what the 7 components are and how that could help us at this particular time?
The 7 components of healing. The basic first thing I want to say is that any of us can do healing ourselves. We don't have to have someone else heal us. We need to be aware that in all healing occurs through our own power. That's the first place to begin healing, through our own power. Once we stop looking for the medical community or anyone else to do it for us, then we've already got the best place to start with our healing. As far as what the components are, the first thing to understand after the understanding that we can do it ourselves and that others can support us, but we have the power to do it, is the understanding that everything is energy. That means our thoughts are energy, our words are energy, everything we do is energy. And that energy is directed into everything. So if you understand everything is energy and you direct it, you move into the second component, which is movement. And that is to understand that all energy moves. Everything is constantly moving. Life is a spiral. It's not a linear progression as we have been taught, like moving from past to the future. Everything moves as a spiral. The third component
is water. Because we're made up of water and because we exist on a water planet, we have to realize that water is part of everything that we do. It also mimics or has a relationship with movement. So going from movement to water is a natural progression.
And the progression from there is to understand another form of wavy movement, which is light. Light moves in waves like water does. And we need to remember that we are partially from the stars, which is light, as well as being water beings here on the planet. The next element of the healing is sound. And sound has to do with what Larkma calls speaking ourselves into being.
Sound has an amazing healing quality. Toning, singing, anything that has to do with sound can be an amazing healing element.
But as far as using sound for healing, we also use it on a daily basis in our regular conversation. If you look at somebody and say, "You're really beautiful," or "Wow, you really did that well," that energy of sound ripples into that person and strengthens them at a cellular level. If you say to somebody, "That was stupid, why did you do that?" or "You look really awful today," that sound causes the cells to shrivel and they become more out of balance.
The next important element is nature. If we spend more time in nature, because we are nature itself or herself, we are able to regenerate. We are able to
move back into the flow of balance and harmony and a rhythm that suits us rather than being continually sped up.
We've lost contact with the rhythm of the earth and rhythms of nature.
And that takes us right to the final of the 7 components, and Larkma calls this liquid time. And what they mean by that is beginning to understand that there is no past and there is no future. The only thing in time is our perception of this moment right now. And what we're talking about that we perceive as time is actually other dimensions. We're living in a multidimensional universe, but we only focus, for the most part, on what we can see in the physical 3rd dimension. So if we go back to the last component of nature and we slow down our rhythms, then we sort of forget about time because we move into a natural harmony. And then time becomes very liquid and we flow from one energetic moment to the next to the next. And that causes us to align ourselves with who we really are, where healing can truly take place.
Okay. Now, in your book, in your second book, you talk about the 10 choices, which actually boils down, from what I remember, to the 10 commandments. Why is that so important, especially if you're not Christian-based?
Well, I think what they're trying to do is to take the idea that major religions across the world have always had commandments for people to understand. The 10 Commandments is Christian, the Noble Eightfold Path to Wisdom is Buddhist. There's a Muslim guideline for people to have things to believe in. What Larkman's trying to do is to say, don't focus on only what your religion of the past has taught you is the way to live. Begin to take responsibility yourself for what you need to do. That is making choice, and that is meaning more powerful than anything you can do that's dictated to you by any organized or unorganized religion. For instance, the choices are very simple. The first one is simply to choose love. The second one is to choose trust. The third one is to choose to create new perspectives that cause you to cooperate rather than compete.
The fourth choice is to simply to choose to be compassionate, which we often, in our hurried societies, do not take the time to simply be compassionate.
And we were talking earlier about reacting. Cohen has a favorite saying about compassion and reaction.
You can't be in a state of compassion if you're in a state of reaction. And conversely, if you're in a state of reaction, you cannot be in a state of compassion.
The fifth choice is choosing transcendence, meaning that you need to understand you can transcend anything. Any challenge that comes to you can be seen as an opportunity, so you can choose to transcend it by simply recognizing you have the power to transcend it if you choose through your choices.
And that brings us to the sixth choice, which is simply truth.
That's requiring us to be honest with ourselves and honest with others, transparent so that we don't hide anything about who we are and we don't try to trick others about who we are, and that leads to greater honesty and connection and communication for all of us on the planet. The seventh choice is to choose joy, and that's an easy one because it's easy to be in a bad mood, not so easy always to choose joy, but it's easy when you understand that your perspective can lead you towards either being in a bad mood or finding something to be grateful for, which will lead you to joy.
And that leads us to the eighth choice, which is to connect. We're here on Earth because we chose to be here, and we choose to connect with each other, to connect with
nature,
all of the kingdoms, the David kingdom, the angelic kingdom, all of the kingdoms that are available to us. It's always our choice to simply connect instead of not connecting.
So if you take the first 7 choices and you apply those and then you start connecting with people, your connections will be deeper and richer, which automatically creates harmony, which is the 9th choice, choose harmony. And the 10th choice is simply to be aware and responsible and make choices of consciousness in every single moment.
Okay.
So the 10 choices are more about personal power and about ahimsa, highest good for all, than they are about any religious guided commandments telling us we must do this or we must not do that.
Okay, so it's basically about making that masterful choice for your life.
Yes.
Okay. Well, you guys offer some services. I want you to tell me about that. And then also you have an event coming up pretty quickly. So why don't you tell us about that too?
We do. We offer several things. We have international live phone calls once a month where people can call in and LARCMA speaks on the phone for about 15 or 20 minutes with a timely message for whatever's going on. And then people get to ask questions to LARCMA. Directly on the call. That's a format for asking general philosophical questions, not personal questions. Things to help us all grow together.
And the other thing that LARCMA is involved with is what they call personal synchronizations. And these are individual sessions where they speak directly and through total confidentiality with individuals who wish to know more about themselves personally, about their makeup,
a particular problem they may be having, a relationship, some struggle they can't get out of a certain pattern. LARCMA will work with them individually and help them energetically as well as helping them through finding the answers in their own hearts. And there's a whole thing on the website from people who've experienced this that you can read from different people's quotes of what they perceive their experience to be in having these personal sessions.
Okay.
We do international gatherings all over the world. In fact, we spend almost every summer traveling in Europe or
Russia,
South America, somewhere. This year, we are focusing on bringing 2 events here in the United States. One in April 24th through 26th, which is going to be focused on learning how to communicate without words, like interstellar beings do, like the Pleiadians do, communicating heart to heart without having to speak, and on building community, what it takes to build community.
And then that's in April of this year, and then in November of this year, we will be also offering a gathering with LARCMA Both of these will occur in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
The one in November is based more on integrating the energies that are coming in that are causing us to feel unusual, different, offering opportunities for change, and understanding together how to integrate those changes in human form as we are moving closer and closer to ascension.
Both of the gatherings will also include and be involved in the understanding of community and unity, bringing like-hearted people together so that they can experience a higher vibratory
opportunity to share. Basically, people who come will have a chance to connect with others. Lartma calls us light movers, others who are moving light into darkness and who wish to form communities across the world, and also speaking with interstellar beings, because Lartma will be talking to the group in very morning, noon, and night type conversations.
Very detailed and very definite wisdom and information that they wish humanity to have in order for us to evolve.
With opportunities for questions and answers as well.
Well, okay, so folks, you can connect with them. You can go to their website and get more information, and that is laakmaa.com, LAARKMAA.com. Folks, I've enjoyed having both of you this evening. It's been a pleasure. Special thanks for Laakmaa to join us this evening and share pearls of wisdom. I want you guys to take very good care, and we'll be in contact, all right?
Thank you very much, Monique. It's been a great pleasure.
Yes, thank you for including us in your show. It's been a wonderful opportunity for us.
Oh, well, you're welcome, and I am glad that we have connected. And for the audience, thank you for being with me tonight. I'm truly honored, grateful, and I appreciate your time and attention. When you're ready to shift the energy of your life to the master level, give me a call at 888-240-6057 or email me at Monique@MoniqueChapman.com. Love yourself enough to make an investment in yourself. And remember, the most important choice that you make is what you choose to make important. Abundance, blessings, light, and love to all. Namaste.
Do you ever feel stuck, like you can't move forward? Or does it feel like your circumstances are so different that no one can understand or help you? Do you need guidance to achieve your financial, romantic, career, or health aspirations? Call me. I can help. I am Monique Chapman, and for over 30 years, I have assisted thousands of clients in gaining clarity and achieving their goals. Are you overwhelmed and looking for relief? Do you yearn to gain or reestablish your deep spiritual connection? Call me at 888-240-6057 and set the appointment that will change the course of your life to the positive. With so much going on today, everyone needs a resource they can count on to guide them through tough times. I am your resource. Call me now at 888-240-6057 and let's get started. Why suffer in silence when you can have the relief you are desperately seeking? Love yourself enough to make an investment in yourself and call me today at 888-240-6057.